Hey, what happens if I do this? Well, sure, water comes out and I get wet, but how did I know that that would happen? Why did that happen?
Well, you might be thinking that this is a very simple and stupid question. Of course that some years ago a plumber went into this house, installed a system of pipes, and now I have running water. Which sure, yes, you are right, but if there is something that you should have learned by now with this channel, is that there is no stupid questions. There are no stupid questions. Because yes, that might be true, but why do I trust that he made such a good job so much? I didn't even see him doing the work. For all that I know, the system of pipes could be linked into a vat of acid that turns on randomly and one day I'll just get turned into mush. But still, I am almost certain that that won't happen. I have this inside faith that that won't happen. And this faith to human actions is present in our day-to-day lives in almost everything we do. You turn your car on and you are expecting that it won't explode. You trust that people won't just run you over when you are walking in the streets. Even the plumber that did the pipe work linked the pipes to the water supply without really thinking if it would work or not, because he already knew that it would work. In today's video, I'll be diving deep into this unseen web of human connections, and I'll bring you on with me, either you want it or not. Society. Well, memes aside and talking in a broader way, I think that societies are super interesting. It's such a cool concept, and if you start thinking about them, you face serious risk of falling into a rabbit hole of existential crisis. That I can guarantee. And yes, I meant about them. Because we, human beings, are not the only animals that use societies to better survive this reality. We are not the only ones that use masses to, well, have an advantage. Animals such as bees and suricats use the same system that we use. They all use groups to better go around the world. And as it seems, that is a pretty good way to survive, because I mean, we rule this shit. Now, what really drives me crazy is that when we look at a society from afar, it being a hive, an ant colony, or well, a city, it's like everything is working perfectly. Everything is going in accord to the plan. No errors, no chaos, no nothing. But if we dive deep, if we zoom in, we see that that perfection doesn't really apply to the individual itself, to the little thing that composes the whole. Look at that bridge, filled with cars passing by, one after the other in the never-ending stream. The only thing that could go wrong is if it happened to be an accident. But even then, if seen in a time-lapse way, we would see the medical assistants coming, repairing the damage, and in just a few moments, that perfect stream of cars passing by would go back into its flow state. That perfect stream of metal cages with wheels rolling around would go back into its perfect motion. However, that perfection can be just vanished away with just a snap of a fingers. Because if you zoom in, you see that those things are not just cars rolling around. Each car passing by has a person in it. Each person with their own problems, living their own lives, being the main characters of their own main stories, with their own thoughts. They don't even know that I am here. They don't even know that in the future a little grasp of them will be making an appearance in a YouTube video. Maybe they are picking their kids up from school. Maybe they are going off to work, or maybe they are driving just because they want to drive. Either way, that perfect line of cars passing by is made by individuals. Individuals that are, well, far from perfect. Individuals that create order from their chaotic lives without even knowing that they're doing it. And you can do this type of exercise with a lot of other examples. For instance, when you look at a building, each window is a different life. Each window houses a different problem that you are yet to understand. You can also do this while you are doing your groceries. Those people are there because guess what? They also need to eat. They need to go to their houses with, again, their own problems. Everyone you see, regardless of the person, has their own problems, has their own lives, has their own thoughts. And they all, again, work together for a perfect system. It being a bridge, a building with the lights switching on and off, or inside of a shop with a lot of people doing their groceries. Well, a minor problem just happened, but you see, a problem happened like out of nowhere and I had to deal with it. And it most certainly will make its presence on the grander scale of society. This did something. This occurrence made something happen on the grander scale. Because a society, even if from afar seems perfect, is made out of individuals. But that doesn't mean that individuals should be doing individual things, otherwise a society would never emerge, and that is especially true for humans. Humans are uniquely social beings. Yes, even if you think that you are a lone wolf and you don't like society and ooh, I'm such a sad boy, I can almost guarantee that that is not entirely true, unless you're a freak. Because liking to be social and have social links is in our DNA. It's in our DNA to be social. Like, I'm not saying that every human needs to be a party animal to be happy. I am just saying that either we want it or not, social links and human connectivity is everywhere. And we depend on it on some way or another. It being on a social acceptance and I like other people to like me level, or on a survival level. Let's tackle them both. Okay. What is this? Besides a super cool magic trick that I won't teach you because I'm an actual wizard, you might know that this is a pencil. You can write with it, you can do cool tricks with it, but it's as basic as an object gets. Or is it that basic? This small, cute, simple thing is the perfect example of how much we as a society are interdependent, of how much we need one another, even when it comes to the simplest of things. Yeah, that's right. Either you want to admit it or not. Honestly, you might already know where I'm going with this, but for those of you who don't know, this is a fairly simple mental exercise called iPencil that was created to make you think of how much even little small simple things can be very complex, and to literally demonstrate that we as humans can't even build a simple pencil. Like, why should I know? How should I know? I don't even know where would I even start. But you are not convinced yet. You still think that this is really easy to do and that you could do it in your basement. Sure, okay, I believe you, but let's start to decompose it. Here we have the body, made out of wood, that came from trees, God knows where. This rubber part also probably came from a tree, God knows where, and through a process of making rubber that I don't know how it is made. This metal thingy too was built and shaped around the pencil to help the wood part stick to the rubber part. The paint used to paint the pencil in blue was also manufactured and went through a process similar to that. And even the graphite on the pencil, the thing that we used to write, came from a mine somewhere around the world. Then all of these things went into probably a factory to be assembled in another part of the world. Then the pencil got transported likely by another company to some reseller. That reseller stocked the product in their stores, and this pencil was sold to me. Just in the making of this small simple thing, we already passed through so many different lives, through so many different jobs, through so many different main characters, that it should be enough to make you appreciate these simple things. But we can go even further. Let me just, take the pencil out. We used machines to take down the trees used to make the body of the pencil. But those machines had to be built with materials from other parts of the world and were built by engineers that probably were from other parts of the world. The truck used to transport the materials to those machines also went through a process similar to that. The gasoline that fuels the trucks, the machines that were used to harvest the gasoline that fuels the trucks, the materials that were used to build the machines that were used to harvest the gasoline that fuels the trucks. And we can just go on and on, creating yet again another perfect stream of connections. This time not just cars cruising on a bridge, but a perfect cascade of events and of actions that perpetuated through space and time. Again, all made by individuals, with different works, different lives, but that in the end all interconnect with one another to form a perfect system again, without us ever stopping to think about it. And I quite honestly find that fascinating. But I think that this interconnectivity when it comes to physical things and materials is just a consequence of us, it's just a consequence of the human species and of our needs to be social, our needs to, well, be connected and to live in groups. In the beginning of our species, we didn't really have this much complexity when it comes to using tools or use services. We didn't need Wi-Fi, we didn't have cars that needs maintenance and insurance services, we didn't have stores that sell all kinds of items, we didn't have factories that produce all kinds of items. We were a lot more grounded, but still 100% dependent on each other. The only difference is that it was in a more social way rather than in a physical one. Honestly, it kinda had to be that way. I don't want to get too much into details because a video on that is being developed, but back in the good old cave days, we had to survive. And we are not really known for being the fastest or strongest of animals, so our way to endure was by being social and to live in groups. Well, the humans with the DNA that was more predisposed to live in a society were the humans that thrived. The ones that didn't have that social DNA were left out and, in the end, killed, not spreading the antisocial genes to later generations. That meant that humans who craved to be social, who craved to live in groups, were the ones that survived and were the ones that passed those genes to later generations. And that can be seen even in today's age. Humans are always trying to put themselves into groups. I mean, always. Metalheads, otakus, gamers, party guys, football fans, it's our nature. We try to label us with something. We try to put ourselves into boxes so we don't get killed. Of course that nowadays, if we don't get into a group, we won't just get mauled down by a bear, but that feeling of needing to be inside of something, that feeling of needing to be part of a group is still very well present in our DNA, hence the appearance of stuff such as FOMO, the fear of missing out. I am sure that you are already familiarized with this concept. That feeling of being left behind because you are not playing the latest game or watching the latest show or buying that new meme coin that will get you a 10x on your money. Okay, this was nerdy. Either way, all that comes from our ancestors needing to be inside groups to survive. Now I know that this might seem too abstract, but this next example that I'll show you will teach you that our need to be inside groups is as clear as water. The conformity elevator experiment is, well, an experiment that has been done countless times in the world of psychology. The name conformity elevator experiment isn't really the name given, but it serves the purpose anyway. This essentially shows that unmistakable need of us humans always thriving to be social and to be part of a group. But what is going on with this experiment? Well, this requires some actors, some unsuspecting foes, the subjects that are not aware of said experiment, and an elevator, of course. What will happen is that some actors are already inside the elevator, and the trick is that they have to have their backs turned against the elevator's door, which is something that, let's all agree, is not that normal. If you do it, please stop. And then the subject enters the elevator without really knowing what is going on. Upon them entering, they will find that it is quite strange that everyone has their backs turned against the door, since it's not really normal, but their behavior won't likely change. The thing is, with each stop, a new actor will enter the scene and put their backs against the door, reinforcing the behavior of the group. And what it is most commonly found is that the subjects also eventually turn their backs against the door too, to fit in the group. Even if at first they think it's really weird that everyone has their backs against the door, they're thinking, what is going on, what is this, I don't really understand, eventually they all do the same thing as the group to fit in. Even if the group itself is completely useless, it's an elevator trip. They probably won't see each other ever again in their lifetime, but yet they still do it to fit in. But this is only one example. There are tons of other studies and situations that show us this need of humans to be in groups. One example is the Ash conformity experiment, where subjects are seen agreeing with completely wrong answers just to be part of the group. Another example is even on your day-to-day lives. Do you know those times when you are in a group and someone tells a joke and everyone starts to laugh and you start to laugh, but then you notice that you didn't really get the joke, but you still laughed because it was the accepted thing to do, because maybe if you didn't, you wouldn't be of value to that group and you'd be left out and ultimately eaten by tigers. Or at least that's what our brain and our DNA thinks, so it makes you get along with groups just to make sure that you are not mauled down. Yeah, as you can see, we are just bound to be together. We are coded to be in a society and to live inside groups. It being within our literal DNA by laughing at jokes that you didn't really get to make sure that you fit in, or by building a simple pencil that in the end is not that simple and actually very philosophical. I don't want to write again. We are all connected all the time, but these are just two ways that we are all connected. There is actually a third way that may be even more direct, but still unnoticeable. Yeah, and it's the fact that we are all related, like actual distant cousins DNA style. Yeah, welcome to Alabama. Look at me, Mr. Bones. Well, I have two parents, of course. Both my parents also had two parents, making a total of 4 grandparents. My grandparents had 2 parents, making a total of 8 great-grandparents, and it just keeps going on, doubling with each generation. If this were to happen exactly like I'm saying, in just 1,000 years or about 40 generations ago, my family would have to have 1 trillion different individuals. Just 40 generations ago, and that is, for the lack of better words, completely impossible, and not because that many people can't have intercourse, but because in the course of all human species, there haven't been this many people rolling around. Okay? From the beginning of humanity, there has been about 117 billion people, so not even close. Mainly if it's just to make me, just my family. Imagine all the other families. It's just not possible. So the fact that we are here must, and 100% includes, a stupid amount of incest, okay? Like, an outrageous amount of incest, which makes sense. You know, before, communities were a lot more localized and overall spread apart without really the ability to connect them. So to make those communities go further, incest was kinda needed. But we can even see it in today's age. Maybe we don't really find normal to marry our cousins and uncles, depending on the culture, but if we have the last surname of our partner, or if we live in the same country and have the same ethnicity, that should be a big indicator that our families had crossed their paths in the past, and maybe that we are closer cousins than we would like to think and to admit. But I don't find this to be the most fascinating thing. A big disclaimer, I'm not saying that I'm on the team of the Alabama's families, I'm just saying that even if in the entirety of human species we had never have practiced incest in any shape or form, we would still be faraway cousins. Because we all came from one single organism. We all share parts of our DNA and we can trace it to one living being that gave birth to us all. Yes, that means that we have DNA in common with bananas and fungus. Something that scientists decided to call Luca, or for the initiated last universal common ancestor. This little thing that you're seeing right now is the reason you are here and that I am here. This is not the first living being, okay? There probably and most likely had been tons of other single-celled organisms, but they all eventually got extinct. But Luca, he's the one that can be traced down. Luca is, well, our first father. Without him, there wouldn't be life, at least as you know it. Every person, animal, plant you can name came from it, making us, in another way, all connected again. We are all part of this big thing, even bigger than society itself. We are all part of this big stream of different beings that perpetuated themselves through time to form this bigger, almost incomprehensible thing that we call life. Yet again, a system made by individuals, little chaotic things that came together to form a whole. And isn't that reality itself just small parts of a big whole? Just gears rolling around to create the bigger picture. We have the universe. The universe has these tiny things that you might know called galaxies. Those galaxies have stars. Those stars have planets orbiting them. Then in the case of our planet, it has water and land with animals and plants that interact with each other to form other systems. A giant ecosystem of life and death. Inside that system we find other systems such as societies composed of, again, ants, bees, hippos, people that are, well, another system in on itself. We have cells, bacteria, electrical signals, hormones, and all of those things work together to create a perfect system. Well, maybe a cell dies and a signal is lost, but in the end we have us, we have perfect individuals, we have us. Us that, again, are not perfect, even if for a cell maybe we are perfect. As an individual, we ourselves are not that perfect. And us that work for the bigger picture too. Us that are here and wanting to do it or not, make decisions and actions that will have a presence in the bigger picture, in the perfect bigger picture that maybe is not that perfect if seen by itself. It doesn't matter how far away we are from each other, what different costumes we have, different works, different problems in our lives. It doesn't matter if you are the main character of your own life, because yes, that is true, but it's only for you. The thing is, in the end, we are all working together in a big web of human interaction, all working together for a greater purpose, and maybe that greater purpose is to be ordered as a group, is to be part of a whole, is to make sure that that unending stream of cars still flows, is to make sure that when I open the tap, water still comes out, to make sure that from afar we create a perfect system built by unique, chaotic, small, and imperfect individuals. And all of that is possible because even if we don't see, human connections are everywhere. Thanks for watching. And honestly, I really liked to write this video. It was kind of a weird topic, but I think I got my points through the way I wanted to. So yeah, like, sub, comment, watch this video right here if you want it. If you don't want it, watch it too, because it's a cool video. And yeah, bye. Go watch it.